All right, and hello everybody. This is Michael Condon representing the TooMedToo Star Wars Network, and this is the Holocron House. This is the Rise of Skywalker, session number 5, and I believe we're starting off at page 32 if you are playing along, and if you are not playing along, I will have the guide up here for you shortly, or, well, the book for you, because remember, you don't need the book to play along with us, although it does help. And I was supposed to have someone meeting me to come in here, and I don't know where that person is, but that's okay. We're going to get started without him. So let me just get a couple things going. I'm running a couple minutes behind, but what else would you expect? Got a few people in here. We have Kylo Ren Flores, Mr. Rez, Dale Erdman, and that's hang on. Here comes our buddy. Hello there.
Right here, I'm sitting putzing around, and then I realized, hit the enter broadcast studio button. Like
Well,
I'm
that's all
paying,
right. I was
like I'm paying attention or something.
I was running a few seconds behind myself, so as usual, but or to be expected.
Well, I did just come out of live chat with Mr. Rez from Rebel Scum. They was talking all things Shadows of the Empire. That was a fun one.
Yeah, I missed that. I was spending some time with a girlfriend, so she,
Oh, you
where
should
I
have seen. They brought up a video of them three, James, Andrew, Brock, and Rob from
mhm.
around 2016. You want to talk about some baby face boys? It was good.
Well, there's always the replay.
Oh yeah.
Um, I don't know if I mentioned it in the live stream last night, but I'll make sure I do it first thing.
Ready?
First here, this episode or this session is brought to you by my Patreons: Rural Farm Boy, Mr. Rez, Christina Flores, Kylo Customs, Chris from Kentucky. I think that was everybody.
That sounds about right.
So it's been a little while since we've been able to do this because I've been working and RFB had his computer in for the
Uh,
fixins.
yeah, I done busted it. All better now.
But with my schedule this week, I don't know how it's going to be next week. Hopefully, we can get a couple of these in.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's all up to the boss though too, because she said, what time are you going to do it? How long are you going to do it? Blah 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 blah.
You sound like Miss Alice. I was just listening to Force Toast Girls here a little while ago when they were going over what was it, the most recent Clone Wars, and she was explaining stuff out, and like every other sentence that Alice would say would be, and then he said, and blah 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 blah. They're hilarious. Alrighty, as I recall, because I left this here book that we was in, sitting in the bedroom on the last page that we were on. Shows me page 40 is where we left off at, because I didn't touch it for the time that my computer was getting fixed. So we started Jedi Scripture, as I recall.
Was it page 40? Then I must have missed something.
Yep, the previous chapter of this show we done was 4, and this is 5. And like I said, I let it sit right there on the bed when I put it down when we ended that stream. And this is where we was.
Well, okay. I thought we finished session 2, and we're about to start session or chapter 2. Let me just go back really quick here and double check. Rural Farm Boy's probably right, but
because I'm looking at just the previous page, 39. That's got the training helmet that Rey uses at the beginning of that story. I remember us talking about that, and the repaired Skywalker lightsaber and the blue training remote. All of them there. Yep, I can remember seeing. I remember us going over them.
Well, I'll go into the Holocron house and take a look real quick.
Alrighty.
And
I'm gonna take a look, see at the chat. I ain't got to look yet. Dale's here. Uh-oh, why is Rez hiding Dale's stuff? Well, he's the boss in the yard in there right now while we're doing this.
oh, because this is session 6, not 5.
Oh.
So yeah, session 5 was 32 to 39. So this I'm gonna have to change the numbers on here, but yeah, this is session 6. So yeah, session 6. Let me see if I can change this picture a little bit. Get those guys off of there. All right, so we're up to page 40 then, which is right here, the Jedi Scriptures. And this is good because I was reading, somebody was talking about the Jedi Scriptures and the books lately. But the sacred texts are words of wisdom dating back to the dawn of the Jedi Order, contained within 8 bound of books, an exceedingly rare format in the galaxy that has wholly embraced electronic information systems. They describe tenets, history, and specific guidance to those studying the path of the Jedi. With foresight, the masters of the old encourage future students to amend and add to the books as the millennia passed. So they are not just a single snapshot of history, but rather an evolving tapestry describing the Jedi Order. Luke Skywalker collected the volumes in his travels across the galaxy, and they are now in Rey's care. So the first book we see, it's the Omniscient Eye. Let's see. Well, all right. The first book is the Ramagon. The Ramagon is a well-known and influential work. The original was thought destroyed over 5,000 years ago, but was found by Master Skywalker during his exploration of the subterranean ruins of Ossus. It collects 4 varied and conflicting origin stories for the cosmos and the Force, and it precipitates derived from those tales. It has an omniscient eye in the form of the 4th precept, a poem that describes God's battling in the primeval universe. Its cover is clay pressed from reddish interstellar gases found in the unknown regions. And this was what I think the question was. Somebody asked how many books there were, and I think it was, they said they thought there was 12. But see where the confusion comes in, as where in this next one we have the Ion TooMedToo, or the second volume, because the Ion Anacoma, it was 2 books.
I just had it and it went away. Anonicum. There it is.
Anonicum. The Anonacoma and Anonicum 2. So it would be the Anonicomai for the 2 books. But the double spine suggests second volume expanded it twice to its original size during completion. Jedi Master and historian Rayleigh Howell collected many of the earliest accounts of explorations and codifications of the Force and the Anakamata, a 2-volume combination of codex, correspondence, and scrapbook, though much of its contents would later be stored in holocrons, which have since been lost. The physical books have passages written in the hands of the original sages, carefully prescribed by Howell. And they have the picture of the two books, and we have Rey's library. It was Luke Skywalker's conviction that the library of the Akato, of I'm sorry, library of Aktu should be destroyed, as the Jedi Order had been locked in a ruinous cycle of galactic upheaval since its very inception. Rey perhaps is driven by the innate scavenger's instinct, left with the books before they could be burned, hiding them abroad the Millennium Falcon without her master's knowledge. Though he recognizes the truth of the Force lies not within these pages, she nonetheless values their place in history and loses hours to fascinating reading on the eccentric force techniques and meditative practices. Rey keeps the books on a shelf in the workshop on Agent Kloss, contained within the active field of a dehumidicoil to prevent the moisture of the rainforest air from damaging the ancient pages. And then separating myth from history proves difficult in the ancient language of Jedi scripture, which leans heavily on metaphor. This page from the text describes the Force as a twisted ribbon lining the perimeter of all reality. Transit to any point across the cosmos is made possible by traversing this path throughout the netherworld of unbeing.
Something you read in that paragraph just down below that, the one titled Ray's Library, where, yes, maybe the very second sentence. No, it's the whole first one, where Luke's convinced that the library should be destroyed, as the Jedi Order had been locked in a ruinous cycle of galactic upheaval since their very inception. That made me wonder for a spell. Right after you read that, what might that mean in the way of the High Republic? Because the Jedi are already still founded at that point. Are they still messing stuff up without realizing it? We'll find out when we get told them stories. But
well, I mean, possibly. It goes along with if history's doomed to repeat itself, and all it takes is one or two bad leaders in there, and the next thing you know, whatever was happening in the past, and you get a couple of people in power, and they mess everything up then, and that could be for a very short time, or that could be for generations to come. And as we know, we think that history doesn't repeat itself, but just look back to how things were 50 years ago. They're completely different than they are now, and how they were 100 years ago.
I would say history surely does repeat itself, but where it's concerned with folks and allowing history to repeat itself, well, that happens because folks didn't learn a lesson from it, that maybe they could have changed a thing to not allow for it to repeat itself. And that's what the Jedi went and done. They had maybe a lesson or two and didn't learn from it, and that let it repeat itself.
You take the Last Skywalker, and Luke Skywalker is talking about the hubris of the Jedi, and one of the coolest Jedi is the most hubris, and that's the one who decides he's going to beat Palpatine himself. And Mace Windu goes flying out a window because of it, and Yoda decides to fight Palpatine or Sidious. They're one and the same pretty much, so it doesn't really matter what you call them, unless it was on a test and you're talking about who said what or whatever. But then you still get partial credit. But them knowing that this guy is so powerful, he's fooled us all, but I think I can fight him myself, and take care of him myself. Even though Mace Windu goes with some backup, Sidious just dispatches the backup in a heartbeat, and and then he's just toying with Mace Windu, who's supposedly the best at lightsaber battling or fighting, and he's just toying with him so that Anakin will come to the dark side.
Yep.
And I mean, so talk about hubris and how things that, just a generation before Luke Skywalker's born, they were at their height of it, and how they would have changed. But that also might go into the plans of Sidious knew it was going to happen because he sees the shatter points and he knows that chances are this is what's going to happen, because he can see, although there's many versions of the future he sees them and knows when he makes the Jedi now have to be warriors instead of, I equate them to like Buddhist monks. If the Jedi, they're always meditating and trying to find, enlightenment and the center and whatever it is and the light and of the force, kind of like Buddhist monks are. But if it comes to, if push comes to shove, a Buddhist monk's going to fuck you up. And because that's what it's like. Okay, if we have to, we're going to win, but we don't want to. And not that we don't want to win, but we don't want to have to fight. And so we're going to do everything in our power to not fight. But if we do have to fight, you will lose. And whether that's through martial arts and Tai Chi and, centering your chi and all of that stuff that I really don't understand because I am not a centered person at all. Hard to believe, huh? And
who among us is?
Rey's about to be, when we see in the continuation of the Skywalker saga, episode 10. But
well, that can't happen because that story's done told. That's over now.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. That's not. Let's keep that for the box tank. We won't argue about it here. We'll keep it professional, as professional as I can keep it.
Keep it in the Holocron house.
Keep it in the Holocron. Keep it out of the Holocron house and keep it in the box tank.
Alrighty, on to page 41, where we see, Ray's got her own little workshop. She's working on building something, and it says Ray's fascinated by the arcane healing techniques described in the Chronicles of Bruspa, and uses the underpinnings of such teachings to hold the broken kyber crystal in her lightsaber. Well, now we know how that happened. Folks were wondering how. Let's see. A fun file, as Michael likes to say. The sturdiest of the 8 books have pages made from Unity pulp, which came from force-sensitive Unity trees. This has preserved them for over 1,000 generations. Ray has had R2 scan and store the scripture in his memory core for future safekeeping. We did get to see that. I saw little bits and panels in a comic where she was going and reading them and trying to get 3PO's help in translating some things. You recall
that? I'm not too well on the comics, but
neither am I. But I remember seeing that a little bit ago when it's in. I want to say it was in the straight up the Star Wars run, coming near the end when it ended. Let's see. So they tied that over into this. And the last one in the fun file is a rumored 3rd volume of the Iononica, was the subject of a forgery scandal 300 years prior to the fall of the Jedi Order. So that's be another 100 years for the High Republic. Interesting. All right. Deciphering ancient wisdom. Very little of the Jedi scripture is readily legible. It must first be translated from archaic languages into modern galactic basic. Using simple translation programs available on most data pads, Ray can follow the words, and she recognizes the approach sacrifice nuances. She must trust her feelings when it comes to translating less concrete and more metaphysical concepts, of which there are many. Beaumont Kin, a historian and linguist in the Resistance ranks, offers his expertise on some of the densest sections of obscure technical text. 3PO is always eager to help, but is likely to spend as much time detailing rules of grammatical construction and proper tense as he is explaining the meanings of the words he uncovers. as 3PO is wont to do. That's why I like them. Let's see, then they're taking some looks here. Vertical Taiwanese. Oh, from the Taiwan cluster. Got it. Writing Jedi Master Mott Corbett expounding his dictum, what is without. Another unattributed visualization in the chain worlds of Theorum, also known as the world between worlds, world between worlds, or Virgin Scatter. And that's a drawn galactic map in there. Let's see, unresolved Theorum, a hyperspace plot and conundrum posed to Padawan learners. Another part of another book. No, that same book. Worn edges from a millennia of use. Yeah, they tried to put this stuff in holocrons, and the holocrons was lost. So this is all that's left of these books.
And I think this is an important page or section talking about so far, probably maybe one of the most important or controversial ones that we've come across. Because why is it doing this? Oh, never mind. I'm trying to get rid of that banner on top after I just interrupted you, and it's not doing it. All right, I just can't see us to do it, but because this is what one of the big things is, especially right now that we've been talking about, is Ahsoka. We talked about last night Ahsoka coming back, and Ashley Eckstein just gave out a statement about how she can't really comment because she's only one person and the making of Ahsoka and everything, blah blah. So,
and she's not included in it. She can't speak to something she knows nothing about.
Yeah, they for obviously, for whatever reasons, they didn't want her to be the actor to do it. And maybe they didn't feel she looked enough the part, or maybe they felt that, Rosario Dawson would bring in a better draw. Who knows what it is. Somebody knows, and they didn't tell her why. They just said, or maybe didn't even say, maybe she learned it through the grapevine also. But the important thing out here is we have the chain worlds theorem, also known as the world between worlds. Ahsoka isn't necessarily dead because we heard her in the movie, The Rise of Skywalker, and in the novelization, it says that the voices are from the past, present, and future. So,
yeah, some folks were wondering, just because we hear those voices, that folks are taking that at a moment's notice and thinking, all right, these are all folks from the past who are long gone. And if you also call and take and remember, we hear living folks speaking to living folks through the Force in previous stories. Empire Strikes Back, when Darth Vader reaches out to Luke after Luke's taken from Cloud City and they're going away, he calls out to him, "Son, come with me." Or even when Leia can feel Luke calling out to her before she turns the Falcon around, gets Chewie to turn it around and go pick him up. No, there's different instances. Not just because we hear a Force Spirit's voice, don't mean that particular character is long gone.
Not at all.
Nope. And some folks recently in my playlist this morning, I can't recall the show off the top of my head, were kind of plotting out how old would Ahsoka be if she would, because Togruta's lifespan is just a little bit longer than a human's. She, at the time of Rise of Skywalker, which would be 32 years past what we know is the end of the original trilogy, she would be just about 70 years old-ish.
Yeah, she'd be about 15 years older than Luke. Going with the fact that, she was probably early teenager when she came into the Clone Wars, and
she was 14 when we was introduced to her. She's 14 years old.
And then a couple years later, so yeah, she'd be probably 16 or 17 years older than Luke. Yep. Just really quick doing the math in my head that way, not, can't really figure out exact dates without looking it up. But yeah, so all right.
Well,
I mean, yeah, that's
recall,
just
I
you
recall
know.
seeing that you were explaining math to Raj from Sith List. Maybe he could explain that math. If you remember your post from a day or two ago.
Oh yeah. It's the
Okay.
truth, though. It's the
Yeah.
truth. If you go back from my birthday, you go back 9 months. You have
Can figure it out.
yep.
All right, couple more of these on the left-hand side to finish off page 41. It's a description of notable beasts of Tython. What do we recall here in Tython? Was that place in Clone Wars? Let's say it was.
I do not recall.
All right, and then the one under that are lightsaber diagrams. So it's, even here is teaching different parts of lightsabers and maybe how to go about constructing them. Without that, there, droid professor Hung Yang. I get that right? That's maybe even
from
Andromeda.
from the Clone Wars.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of little things in here. Markers and notes from Jedi librarians from across centuries. Ah, they look like little book stops or page markers. And hand-drawn phases of Mortis solution to unsolved theorem of Master Thorpe, who has many of his writings in this here book.
So yeah, I mean, this is just full of, we're just doing a quick dissection of this book too, and it's taking us forever. I mean, we could go into, if we wanted to, talking about Tython, and then going into the phases of Mortis and looking more into those, but that's a lot. That would take a lot longer. It's taken us long enough to do this as it is. So
Yeah, there's a lot of little strings that go to a lot of other places that we're kind of familiar with. You could kind of call this lore galore. That does for page 41.
and now we have,
Oh, look where we're going.
where are we going?
Mustafar.
Right there for you, people. We're on Mustafar now.
What answered some questions at the beginning of that last story, episode 9, that we was wondering. Well, answers be found here.
All right, so we are on Mustafar, a molten world in the Outer Rim territories. Mustafar has been gripped by destructive, invisible forces of nature, caught in a gravimetric tug of war between the planet Justfeed and the gas giant Lafrini. Mustafar roils like a wound that cannot heal. Such instability has churned valuable ores to its surface, making Mustafar a mineral trove for galactic mining conglomerates. Only within the last few decades have patches of the planet's angry surface started to cool. Off-worlders are now drawn to the hellish planet for reasons far less tangible than precious metals. Some believe the world's nature is shaped by spiritual forces, a belief born out of the planet's ancient mystical history, as well as its more recent repopulation, reputation as the home of the Sith Lord Darth Vader. So we have the picture right on top. This is one of the first pictures or videos we had of this movie, and everyone decided that it was Kylo Ren fighting the Knights of Ren because of the way this guy was dressed and what it is. But Kylo soon outpaces his stormtrooper escorts as he cuts a swath of destruction throughout the Alzmac, and who attempt to block his path to Vader's castle, or rather, its crumbling ruins. Kylo enters the castle grounds with purpose and finds an ark containing an artifact that will lead him to answers. The name Exegol burns in his mind as he knows that at the source of this mystery, he will find immense power. And then we have a cult colonist that's looking like maybe the one he put the lightsaber through, or one of them that he was beating the crap out of, that we were led to believe, or speculating that it was a Knight of Ren. Um, he has wide set goggles to protect eyes from blowing ash, sodium sulcate dust protective clothing, um, impact bolts on his improvised club with iron. It's an ironwood branch. The cult colonists, since the death of Darth Vader, his legend has grown and cults have been arisen that venerate his power. Fragmented tales of Vader's exploits and origins have been twisted by the faithful who voyage to Mustafar in pilgrimage, seeking to tap into the powers that supposedly fueled him. One of the most tedious sects, the Alzamac of Winsett, whose members are drawn to the Corvax fen, an unlikely bog of fertile soil said to be soaked by the Lady Corvax's tears. The Alzamac are devoted to protecting the fen, planting a thin forest of iron trees around in a futile attempt to reinvigorate the glen that covered the land centuries earlier. And we see a picture of Vader's castle, or what used to be Vader's castle. Ancient legends describe Mustafar as a golden world, a garden world, home to Lady Corvax, a powerful Force user obsessed with immortality. The unleashing of enormous energies and her pursuit pushed Mustafar from its original safe orbit to a treacherous new path and caused irrevocable destruction. These legends brought the ancient Sith seeking the same secrets of eternal life. They erected a shrine on Mustafar that would be discovered by Darth Vader early in his Sith apprenticeship. Vader himself, forever scared by the fires of scarred by the fires of Mustafar, chose to build his castle there, within view of the site of the greatest defeat. The fortress was intended to act as a focal lens of force power, but has long since fallen into ruins.
I got to take a look at the chat. Something just happened in here that Rez is having a real issue with. And it seemed like it got a little out of control. Looked like something happened that a whole bunch of folks accidentally got blocked that were not intentional. He just hit me back and he's like, can I unblock? And doing that on my iPod, I got to see if I can figure out how to do that. Because I won't be able to do it on here. A whole bunch of people got snared up in something that looks like shouldn't happen. It was by accident. Oh boy. Let me knock out this next page, and then I will see. I'll bring it up on another window on my laptop, see if I can get that straight, because this one is pretty easy. Why do I get all the fun files and you don't get any anymore? No, this one's a data file. And Mustafar is found in the Travis sector, Outer Rim territories, and is 2,610 miles across the diameter for the equator. Terrain is molten rock plains, volcanic peaks, and lava rivers, and has no moons and an approximate population of only 15,000 folks. And some notable points: our former Black Sun Fortress, really, wouldn't have thought that. An abandoned Imperial garrison, And maybe we might have seen that by the time of Rebels. Secret Nursery of Darth Sidious, Clone Wars era. Yes, we did see that. The volcanic hot
Okay,
spot.
Mr. Rez was hiding people. But I
Yeah, I
think
see a whole lot of apologizing going on there. It sounded like it wasn't intentional. You on that while I'm finishing the page?
yeah, I got it.
All righty. Let's see, where else did we go? Volcanic hotspot that split between tectonic plates, which causes more lava rivers. Then's the fun fact file. Prior to the Clone Wars, the Techno Union owned the mineral-rich world and charged the native Mustafarians rent, as they would, which was paid through mining labor. So all them folks we see as Anakin and Obi-Wan are their final duel. They're all working to pay off their rent to the Techno Union. There are two distinct races of native Mustafarians, different in size and appearance, which evolved into distinct underground cave systems. At one point, the criminal syndicate Black Sun had a sizable presence on Mustafar, but its leaders decided to move to a lower profile world once the Empire had established the garrison. Wouldn't want to be called out by the Empire. And the Korvax Fen, which is that little grove that you read about earlier concerning Lady Korvax. The remnants of Darth Vader's castle loom above the twisted iron trees of Korvax Fen. So where him and Obi-Wan had their fight was very near that same place, because that's where we're told he chose to build that castle, or have it built. And that takes care of page 43.
Okay, so I think we're back on track now. Mr. Rez accidentally hit a couple people, or I don't know if they're unhidden or not. He timed some people out, so I'll have to see. I might have to if they're. I know Kylo Ren Flores is back, but I don't see Dale in there, so I don't know if we can how to bring Dale back.
If he's still online. If he left, then it'll have to be the next time we see him somewhere.
But I might be able to go in and find it later or whatever. I don't know. I don't really know how that works because. But
I've seen it a time or two, but not having it up on the bigger screen makes it a whole lot tougher. Okay, on to page 44. Kylo Ren.
All right, so let me get over here. All right, Kylo Ren. We got some nice visuals going on over here. Kylo Ren is a supreme leader. Kylo Ren, as supreme leader, has been marked by a fierce crackdown on any star systems exhibiting signs of independence or defiance. The persistent tale of his defeat by a legendary Jedi at the Battle of Crate proves a difficult fable to squash. Ren declares any word showing such disloyalty as subversive and dispatches stormtrooper patrols or even his dreaded Knights of Ren to root out malcontents and crush spirits. During his campaign of terror, visions in the Force, as well as scraps with arcane lore, uncover in Snoke's old bases, led him to an ancient mystery. It becomes clear Snoke was not the apex of the First Order's dark side pyramid. And then we have a quote up here from General Huggs. He's gone mad. Flames of rebellion burn across the galaxy, and Ren chases a ghost. We have a picture of Kylo Ren. He has a forged helmet strengthened through Sith alchemy. Silver visor, framed, cracked, but reopened. Fun file. I got one of these finally. Selfish bastard. A gifted pilot, Ren is never satisfied with the speed and responsiveness of his craft and pushes First Order engineers to outdo their best efforts. Throughout his life, Kylo has heard a dark voice he long assumes to be Snoke. With Snoke dead, it is evident he was wrong. An unstable saber blade causes ragged wounds. A masked ruler. After breaking free of Snoke's rule, Kylo reddens the helmet, marking him as a Knight of Ren, but this time on his own terms. A reforged helmet carries the luminous webwork of Sith alchemy. Its fused shards mirror the breaking and rebuilding of Kylo's own identity. And then we have over here, looks like a little workshop kind of thing going on. Posable arm for mechanics. This is helmet repair, reverse repulsor lift, grav focused base, compressed air cooling nozzle, molten Saracen iron applicant tool. And I don't know if we found this out yet or if it comes later on. We find the molten Saracen iron. That's the red that's filling the cracks in, and I don't know if it talks about this, so I might be jumping the gun or not. So that the red cracks on the helmet, the reason they were filled in with the red cracks and they used the red Saracen iron is the older ancient technique of Asian or Japanese, Chinese, I don't know which one it was, of fixing pottery and things like that. When it broke, instead of throwing it out, they would fix it and they would celebrate it, the cracks, because you could see it. It was done with gold or with red, and they were celebrated because because it's broken doesn't mean it's bad, and it's rebuilt now. It's even better than it was before. And in the one of I think it may have been the it's one of the features we got with the visual or with the digital movie release.
Yep. Yes, it is.
It talks about how there was a lot of speculation about it, and I even brought this up in one of my classes when we were talking about, even though it doesn't sound like it would be astronomy, I brought up in one of my astronomy classes the fixing of the helmet going back to that, and that's what it was done after. That's what their intent was. So the people that were speculating on that way before the movie even came out, when we were just seeing it fixed, they were right. It could have been anything, but there's no coincidence in the Star Wars universe.
No, it's everything taken from our human past and all manner of different parts and places from it, and kind of reusing it in a way to tell these new mythology stories. Yeah, it was just like what you said. It was an Asian culture from long ago that used to remake broken pottery and things by pretty much cementing, gluing them together with gold. So what they did when they wrote this mythology story here concerning Kylo Ren's helmet, they took the gold and made it red and gave it a different name, Saracen iron. And that's what this fellow at the bottom of the page you're going to tell about used to put that back together.
And Real Farm Boy, just to let you know, Dale's back on. He's using his other account that he has. Okay. And good. Yeah, I don't know, Mr. Rez got drunk with power and killed everyone. He wanted to be the only one on here with power, so I guess
I did go take a look, and yeah, Dale was already gone. There wasn't a way I could go and fix. Someone has to be able to be actually still in there for me to be able to fix it. It was pretty easy to do, but he weren't there for me to Oh,
Yeah, pretty soon Mr. S is going to be. It's going to be great because Mr. S is going to block you and me from this channel, and it's great because he won't talk or do anything. He'll just be like, "Here's a stream," and there'll be a black screen, and see who watches it, and he'll just say like Mr. Rez on it or something. I don't know.
no, he's going to take the S off the end of his name and put an N there. It's going to end up being Mr. Red.
All right. Yeah, and then him, Kylo, and Christine. Christina can just be on there as the Wrens.
It's going to be not a dyad. It's going to end up being a triad.
A triad. All right. Oh God, where have we gone from here? All right, so we have the mysteries of the Sith. Kylo's journey to Mustafar and Exegol reveal to him that belief in the Sith tradition has continued despite the demise of the last Sith Lord. Loyalists seek to resurrect their tradition, having coupled technology and the occult by bringing forth unnatural embodiments of the dark side. Kylo comes to learn that he is heir to a vast empire waiting to be unleashed from the depths of the unknown regions. He takes his mantle, but he knows there is still much work to be done. And we have a picture of the monkey man, Alberic.
Albrecht. Yep, he's in the Sith Alchemist.
Yep, and he was the hairy hand guy that we saw the same time frame I was talking about when we saw the mask and they were showing it. People were thinking it might be a Wookiee, but obviously he wasn't hairy enough to be a Wookiee. But whatever. Yeah, so that's it for that page, and on to the next one,
where we start off with Kylo Ren's modified TIE Whisper. Kylo's desire for firepower sees him piloting the latest designs from the First Order starfighter engineers. At his direction, the TIE Whisper has been modified into a blazingly fast interceptor model capable of extended hyperspace transit and stealth operations. Kylo equips one with the Sith Wayfinder in order to penetrate the veil of the unknown regions and uncover his fate. And it is very similar to a TIE interceptor of years past. Wingtip ranging lasers, extended gather solar panels. Weapons bracket distributes power to 5 cannons per wing. Wow, that's some firepower right there, fellas. Let's see, then it goes over to a couple of little points concerning Kylo Ren. The visible alchemical lattice between the cracks of his repaired helmet. That Saracen steel is what's shown holding them parts all back together. His hood is drawn back. I didn't realize that he had a hood. I thought it was just a cloak. Let's see. As Kylo Ren charges toward Rey aboard his TIE Whisper, he almost scrapes the ground, and she only narrowly avoids a collision. Then where it's concerned in his lightsaber. Though Kylo Ren could have repaired his lightsaber, he preferred its unstable, volatile nature. Supreme Leader. Kylo Ren's complete submission to the dark side and his pursuit of answers and power concerns the Supreme Council, who favor much more orthodox tactics and strategies for conquest of the galaxy. But Ren's return from the unknown regions, with the promise of new warships and soldiers, all engineered decades earlier by the Emperor himself, bolsters the confidence in the Supreme Leader. The intricacies of the Sith lineage remain impenetrable, an impenetrable dark page of history for most of the First Order. But Ren believes he will return the Sith to power and fulfill his grandfather's legacy. As ruler, Kylo feels no indebtedness to the Sith Eternal cultists, for they are but a means to an end. He has sacrificed far too much to be subservient. Yeah, he thinks he wants it all for himself.
So yeah, Dale, I don't know how to what to do because you're hidden, you'd have to be on for Mr. Rez to unhide you, I think, because Mr. Rez unhid somebody else. Because Mr. Rez hid Kylo Ren Flores and then unhid her. But I can't even get to where you were talking before to unhide you. So I don't know if he has to do that because he hid you, or if it has to be something after the stream.
Well, I would think it's got to be during.
Yeah, Mr. Rez, go back up to where you. I don't know if you have it on yours, but I have it on mine where it says Dale was timed out, Dale was hidden. Then you have Kylo was hidden, Kylo was unhidden. And see if you can do it there. If that will fix it. Okay, maybe I need to. Yeah. So, all right, I'll have to try and go in. I can go in afterwards, I think, and I can go in afterwards and hide people and unhide people, I believe, because I have some people that have been kicked out of the chat and that were trolls before. But yeah, so it shows me who's hidden or who's banned or whatever. So I can probably go in that way. No, not by you, Mr. Rez. That happened before with some people. But all right.
As page owner, you might have access to some things even us mods don't. Because I'm there right now taking a look, and I can only see whose participants are.
All right. So.
Okay. Next page is a split page with only but one thing there. And that's, whoop, that's right here.
This is the sting of rejection. Having once again confronted Rey and invited her to succumb to the dark side, Kylo Ren is thwarted by the effort of Rey's comrades. The Millennium Falcon, itself a symbol of Ren's hated origins, blasts the hangar bay with the wash of its overpowered ion engines as it facilitates Rey's escape. Stormtroopers are tossed aside like ragdolls, but Ren secures his footing with help from the Force. So, yeah, this is where we see Rey take that big leap and go from being in the hangar bay to literally space and into the Falcon that they have the doors open for.
Yep.
Yeah, so this was another one of those. Of course, all we did is speculate. We see the picture. Everyone's, what could it be? And we think, is it a force push? And I think it was like a 50-50 split. People thinking that it was from the engine of the Falcon, and people thinking that it was just like blue lighting and Rey coming in with a big force push. And the Millennium Falcon people were right.
We now know what that is.
And I peeked ahead a little bit for the first time just to see kind of how things are. So I think we're going to do a couple more pages and then call it a day for this one, so that the rest of the section we can handle all at one time instead of breaking it up.
You're headed into Chapter 3, the First Order.
Yep, Chapter 3, the First Order. Decades of peace have led to complacency. A demilitarized galaxy was not prepared for the unified mechanized threat of the First Order's fleet and army. Worlds that have long depended on coalitions for protection find their allies surrendering, and without the New Republic to coordinate defense, more and more worlds are capitulating to Supreme Leader Ren's rule. I almost said Supreme Leader Snoke just because I'm so used to that.
Mhm.
Because well, it's we no one really calls him Supreme Leader Ren. It's always Kylo Ren. Um, and if you put a title for Snoke, it was always Supreme Leader Snoke. I don't know. That's just me and my headcanon, I guess. Still getting a little bit used to that. Well, we had it for 2 movies versus 1 movie, but um, even more devastating, the First Order's discovery of untapped military assets on Exegol reveals at long last the full scope of the Emperor's contingency. With these fighting forces combined, the First Order threatens to be an unstoppable as it transforms into a new empire built on an ancient heritage.
Yeah, we had seen this coming from the Aftermath trilogy when the brand new, still forming New Republic, Mon Mothma wanted to demilitarize up to 90% of the New Republic. And that's what led to this. I still got to find that sound beep of R2 turn the page.
Oh, and I just saw on HBO is coming out with a new show with General Hugs. Well, not General Hugs, but the actor.
Donald Gleason.
Yes, and I didn't. I just caught it really quick. I don't remember what the hell I was watching on HBO, but I put it on. So yeah, and it looks interesting. I don't really know. Um, it was one of those things where you can't really tell a lot from a preview. You see so many different things that you don't know what the hell's going on.
Mm-hmm.
He's either really rich or really poor. He's got a lot of money. I don't know if he stole it or it's his. He's running around with some girl. I don't know if they're traveling the world or if they're just going all over and being, from all over different parts of England or the United States or Australia or all three, or it's kind of really hard to tell. But it looks more of like a comedy romance drama than well, that's what it pretty much looks like. But
I'm gonna go and take from. We was having some fun previously over in Rebel Scum's live chat. Rachel Alford was going off all manner of things Firefly, so now that makes me want to go sit down and watch that again. She was just running the whole chat with quotes. We were going back and forth, and Rez didn't know what Firefly was, so now we picked him up. He's got to go sit and watch that. But we're going back to General Hux. You want to switch sides on pages?
Sure.
Alrighty. We start with, don't say it, but I'm going to say General Armitage Hux because that's who he is. As the First Order geared up for its explosive debut on the galactic stage, the New Republic capital of Hosnian Prime in its crosshairs, General Armitage Hux was determined to become the face of this new regime. With the support of Supreme Leader Snoke, Hux proudly took the reins of the Starkiller Base project, vaunting its unparalleled technological might. That was the last time Hux felt certain about anything. Snoke's unforeseen demise has ruined Hux's career trajectory, and the years the young general spent jockeying for power against Kylo Ren now worked against him, as Ren has assumed the title of Supreme Leader. Change in fortunes. After the Star Destroyer Finalizer sustained major damage from a run-in with the Resistance forces over Batuu, Kylo Ren transferred his command to his new flagship, the Steadfast. Ren brought Hux with him. The distrustful Supreme Leader will not lower his guard around someone as devious as Hux. Aboard the Steadfast, Hux serves below Allegiant General Pride. Having little independent authority without supervision, Ren gives assignments to Pride or even the Knights of Ren before the trust in Hux with anything of importance. Though Hux seems content to sit in the shadow of Pride and Ren for now, it is unlikely that he has completely abandoned his scheming nature. And only a couple little points concerning Hux. His hair is coiffed to Hux's exacting standards, as you would expect, and the attention to protocol, not through spirit. Let's see. We got a fun fact file. Hux hates the Knights of Ren. He despises their unkempt appearance and how they tread dirt onto the polished halls of the First Order capital ships. Hux has known Pride for decades. Pride was friends with Hux's father, Brendel, and Brendel's wife, Maratel. The legacy, the rise of the First Order. The First Order is the combination of several separate elements of Palpatine's New Order. Few in the galaxy were aware that there was a contingency plan to meld the Empire's political, military, and spiritual survivors into a new regime. Hux is firmly part of that military branch, the heir of an Imperial officer who fled into the unknown regions. After much hardship in the galactic wilderness, the fleet and army survivors who now refuse to surrender to the New Republic uncovered dormant production facilities and resource-rich worlds where they began forging a new fighting force. And that data file on Armitage Hux, his homeworld, he was born on Arcanus. He is a human, and he is surely affiliated with the First Order. He's 6'1" tall. He's as tall as me. And he was 35 years old. He has a seat on the Supreme Council where he maintains uncharacteristically silent presence. And the timeline for him is he was 34 years before Starkiller Incident. He was born on Arcanus. 29 years before Starkiller Incident. Flight into the unknown regions with Brendel Hux. 4 years before Starkiller Incident. Engineers the death of his father, as we're told in the Plasma story. 0 years. Orders firing a Starkiller base. 0.3 years after Starkiller Incident. Inspection tour of the Titan refueling station, as was told in Star Wars Resistance. 0.5 years, almost a half a year after Starkiller. Disastrous battle over Batuu. And in that same time, he is reassigned to the Steadfast. And there's all that concerning Armitage Hux.
All right. And yeah, while you were reading that, I was trying to get into the management or owner part of to try and take care of that issue, and I couldn't figure it out. So I don't know. I'll have to look at it later. But anyways,
wait till next stream, and maybe I'm thinking after this gets shut down and we stream the next time, and Dale shows up, all should fairly be well.
Well, I should be able to fix it before. I just got to figure out how to do it, how to get into the management part or whatever. I was trying to do it, but it was hard because I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to do it. Why the stream's going on. But anyways,
I did a bad on Rebel Scum's stream before I busted my computer, and there was a troll in the chat room that I went after while it was scrolling, and I meant to grab him, and my cursor was on Dale, and I hit Dale then too. So Rez, not just you, buddy. I done him once bad too, and I couldn't bring him back. I got rid of the troll, but I'm sure for that Dale was hot at me for a little bit. It wasn't just you, Rez. I done a bad once too, trying to do it right. Onward to General Pride.
All right.
I actually like this fellow.
General Pride, a veteran of the Imperial military, Allegiant General Pride has patiently bided his time for decades, waiting for the authoritarian grip of order to return to the galaxy. He was taken of a second wave of leadership kept in reserves by Supreme Leader Snoke during the unveiling of Starkiller. After Snoke's demise, Pride is left as one of the most senior officers in the First Order High Command. It is a privileged position, for Pride knows far more about Snoke and the late Palpatine's machinations that many of his cohorts, and uses such insights to cement his own power. He has a triple pleated denotes the unique rank and station. Officer gloves with electro sensitive fingertips for touchscreen activation. Having roughed it in the galactic wilderness since the disastrous rout of Jakku, Pride longs to return to the trappings of the high human culture and civilization that once encased Coruscant. His wistful recalls of the pageantry and splendor of Empire Day parades of the past. He has a swagger stick connects to Alcacen military riding traditions. It is a lacquered ebonwood swagger stick. The military traditions for that, Pride's ideology allows him to tolerate more macabre aspects of the First Order, which he would ordinarily disdain. While the mysticism of Snoke and Ren are alien to him, as are the arcane rituals of Sith eternal cult on Exegol. He accepts them as the eccentric byproduct of a hunger of power. He knows the spiritual undercurrent dates back to the Galactic Empire, for when he was a young fleet officer, he personally witnessed Darth Vader in action. Unlike less prudent military careerists, he knows better than to openly disrespect these beliefs. Pride focuses instead on the military benefits they offer the military. And his timeline, 61 BSI, he was born in Alaskan. 45 advanced placement into the Alaskan military. 40 BSI posted abroad Star Destroyer Steadfast. 29 BSI Steadfast destroyed in Battle of Jakku. Pride flees to unknown regions. 6 BSI Snoke issues Pride command of new Star Destroyer named Steadfast in honor of his old vessel. And 0.5 ASI, Kylo Ren transfers his command to Steadfast. A fun file here, rebuilding his command after the destruction of the Supremacy and the death of Snoke, Kylo Ren discovered the reserve forces under Pride's leadership and brought him to the fair. The rank of a Legion General is akin to that of Grand Marshal, a command of both ground and space base forces. It is a title that Hux once aspired to. So he is Hux's boss.
Mm-hmm.
And the fun file, Enric Pride is his name. He's from Alaska. He's a human. He's from the First Order. He's 1.88 meters or 6'2", and he is 62 years of age. And just looking through really quick, I think I'm going to end this one here. Oh, no, we can do this next section. I think that'll be fine.
This is interesting stuff here. New stuff we don't know about yet. Wayfinders. No, they ain't holocrons. That's a different thing. That does a different thing. Wayfinders are ancient pieces of technology whose workings are not fully understood. They act as hyperspatial lodestones, showing safe paths through navigationally challenging stretches of space, and was essential for some of the earliest hyperspace exploration when navicomputers were still in their infancy. The construction of wayfinders was inspired by the study of the brains and carcasses of Purgil, spaceborne megafauna that can travel through hyperspace naturally, as nature, even in that galaxy far, far away, is wont to do. Nature got its own rules. Wayfinders effectively reverse engineer the abilities of these faster than light titans. The Jedi and the Sith of old somehow infused their devices with a presence in the Force. I wonder if we might be seeing something like these, or if that's still older still in the High Republic. We shall see. I'm thinking this is older than that.
Well, I mean, they have. I don't know. They have the wayfinders to. I mean, they were used recently. I mean, they were used 40 years ago, so or a little less than that.
Something else I'm taking note that's kind of maybe adjacent to this, that some folks that taking a look at what we know about the High Republic is keeping in mind the galaxy then 200 years, well, 235 years previous to this would be the galaxy is a much smaller place. The whole entirety of the outer rim is all going to be in that story. That's all unknown regions too. The galaxy, as it's going to be told then, the mid rim would be considered the outer rim. It's a much smaller galaxy. There's so much more that ain't been explored yet. So Tatooine on the outer rim, not going to be part of them stories. And every other planet that we know that's along the whole northeast, southwest of the galaxy, not going to be included in them stories. That hasn't been discovered yet. The Republic hasn't expanded that far.
I mean, I think that's part of the story. One of the like take the United States for example. I mean, that's the most recent of explored land, and going from east to west, and you had the Wild West, and it took years before it was conquered. Or I don't necessarily mean conquered in that way, but once the United States was the United States and we had all of that property and all that land, it was kind of go out and settle it yourselves and you're in charge of it until things started to roll out that way. And they had the U.S. military that could go and enforce things because you had the sheriff, but the sheriff could be as corrupt as the criminals and the cowboys and the gangsters and the nefarious people out in those regions. So once the military might was able to come out through there, you had some form of, I guess you'd say, like, I don't know the words I'm trying to calm, like unity.
Okay.
It all followed one rule. I mean, yes, you had the corrupt politicians and the corrupt military, but it was still enforced by one thing. And I think that's where the Jedi had everything under control. Everything was good. Everything was, harmonious for the most part. After you got rid of the Sith, and then you have the story of the Nihilists or the Niles coming in. But for the most part, everything was calm. And then all of a sudden, it started to expand, and they didn't have the numbers to control anymore, and be the ones that kind of enforce the rule. And they didn't really need to enforce the rule because back 200 years ago, they were the law, or the way things, even though you still had the Galactic Empire, they didn't really need to flex their muscle or do anything because they were the keepers of peace. And now with the expansion of that, they went from being the keepers of peace to warriors themselves, and that was part of their big downfall.
Let's see, I got to hit a couple notes of interest concerning this here wayfinder. That it has age-worn pyramidal cathode resin frame, a plasmic interior harvested from Nebular space. Superluminant lodestone attuned to hyperspace vectors. So it's kind of like a pre-nav computer. Cybotara waxen glass etched with Reed star chart patterns, an ecliptic ring alignment marker, and a weighted base for stability. Finding hidden worlds. A cosmic bramble of hyperspace anomalies has long prevented exploration along the galaxy's western edge. With a precipitous drop-off of unknown worlds beyond the western reaches. This is a barely understood barrier, as it is old as galactic civilization and hyperspace technology. Rare exploratory missions have found some navigatable worlds in this space. Scylla, Ilum, Radica Prime, for example, are reachable by cautiously stepped hyperspace jumps into the wilderness. That would be wild space, because wild space comes before the unknown regions. Through methods lost to time, the ancient Sith and Jedi were able to find worlds in the unknown regions to serve as staging grounds or temples. Transit to such worlds would later be afforded by compasses and wayfinders. And a quote from Rey: I know how Ren found Exegol. According to Skywalker's notes, a wayfinder would have to be used at least once to find a chartable path through the unknown regions to Exegol. The route could then be saved within a standard nav computer for future use. Sith Wayfinder. As the last Dark Lords of the Sith, Darth Vader and Darth Sidious, were each holders of ancient Sith Wayfinders that could point the way to Exegol, Kylo Ren finds Vader's Wayfinder stored in the ruins of his castle on Mustafar. Ren modifies his TIE Whisper's astrogational systems to accept Vader's Wayfinder and as a signal source, and the ancient device sends out simplified binary signals that the ship's hyperdrive interprets as jump coordinates. In this way, the craft weaves as a viable, if dangerous, path through the unknown regions. The Emperor's Wayfinder proves to be a much tougher find. And a fun fact file with 2 points. An inert wayfinder said to have originally pointed the way to the Holocron system and was on display in the Royal Museum of Aldera at the time of the planet's destruction. Oh, there's a different looking wayfinder. Some alien species, like the Gree and the Tang-Ti, exhibit neural activity that very much resembles the motion and reactions of the plasma within wayfinders.
Okay. And something else that I thought about while you were talking about the Wayfinders and Rey, and then going into the next page. So far, we know that there's 8 books. We know of 3 so far that they've talked about. Hopefully we find out the other 5 somehow. But we find out in the novelization. So in the movie, when Rey says to Leia, "Can I talk to you?"
Mm-hmm.
And in private, when they're talking about Exegol, and she's like, "I know how to find Exegol." She didn't say it in front of the group because she was better. Like in the movie, it kind of comes off like she's better or superior, or like that was my interpretation. Like if you were in a group of people and someone says, "Can I talk to you in private?" It's like, why are you going to talk to somebody in private that you can't say in front of me, or whatever? When people are all equals or not really whatever. Well, it turns out that we found out from the novelization that Rey held Luke's books and notes and findings in such high regard that out of respect for him, she didn't want to go opening up the books in front of all these people. So she wanted to do it in private to show Leia. So and kind of explained it a little differently than the way the interpretation was in the movie. For me, anyways. I don't know how if you felt how you felt at that moment in the movie.
Yeah, as it was told me, no, I didn't really take it that way. But then hearing it when it was told, when we listened to that book, it just added and opened that up. It put more to what we saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, she, like you said, she had such reverence that speaking of these different things in front of folks that maybe wouldn't nearly understand, that might go and spook them. But asking to Leia, can I talk to you about this for a minute? Because that there's somebody that would understand, and then start with that little bit of information, and then find a way to share it with everybody else that isn't going to go and scare the hell out of them. But then finding out that Palpatine never really was gone, went and scared the hell out of all of them anyway.
No. So the next page we have Lost in the Ramagan when word of Rey's journey to Exegol reaches the Resistance, courtesy of a spy within the First Order ranks, Rey insistently knows how the Supreme Leader undertook such a voyage. She had read about wayfinders within the pages of the Jedi text, specifically the red-covered Ramagan, which had been annotated by Luke Skywalker. Master Skywalker had chronicled his efforts to find the Emperor's wayfinder by tracking down fleeing mentions of Exegol during his explanations of the galaxy. Luke had grown concerned that the troves of Sith and Jedi artifacts hoarded by the Emperor in his various vaults could now be the target of nefarious agents. Oh, there's my word, nefarious. I like to use that word because Luke especially feared what might happen if a Sith Wayfinder fell into the wrong hands. Now, it's kind of funny because we were just talking about we don't know how old Wayfinders is, and then the technology, and we just saw a picture of what we thought was an old Wayfinder. Here at the top of this book, um, cascading chromatic text regarding the galactic barrier. Skywalker inserted notes describing his concerns, translucent insert of Wayfinder shaped combinations of various figures or of configurations. So they come in all different shapes and sizes. Proto-Besh containing cartouche containing the name Exegol. And here we go. Detailed Wayfinder illustrations is at least 4,000 years old. So they were using Wayfinders 4,000 years ago.
Wow. A quick explanation of what a cartouche is. It's like a maker's mark.
Okay, because I had no idea. But not like the whiskey. Chromatic text warning of deep space dangers. Skywalker's illustrated studies of the Wayfinder.
Oh,
Then we
so
have
he played around with it for a bit, did he?
it appears that way.
Mm-hmm.
From the pages of this book, from the pages of another book, it sure looks that way. And then we have the Jedi Compass. Luke Skywalker discovered an ancient Jedi star compass in the Emperor's storehouse of Polino. It functioned Pilio.
You know where that's from? Remember where that's from?
Nope.
Battlefront 2. When Luke finds Del Meeko on Pilio in that storehouse.
I never played Battlefront 2. That's my next.
Ooh. Even from the cutscenes, because I didn't play it either, but I went and hunted that story up. Yeah.
When I finish Fallen Order, which who knows when that's going to be. You know, I plan on having it done the first weekend, and it's now 5 months later, 6 months later. I still don't have it done. I'm gonna do a playthrough of Fallen Order. I think again that I kind of know what I'm doing on Twitch, and I'm gonna play Battlefront. I'm gonna get Battlefront 2 and play that on YouTube.
You're gonna like that story. I'm telling you, you're gonna love the story mode of it.
You know, that's the plan. Good. Who knows how well the plan's gonna go or how long, it lasts. It all depends on how this how the New York City shutdown, slowdown thing goes, because you know the longer it goes, the more time I'm trying to work and work some overtime, or if I have to work 6 or 7 days to work the same amount of hours, that's what I have to do. And
Mm-hmm.
until we get some type of relief package or people go back to work or whatever it happens to be.
Some sense of
And
normalcy.
yeah, um, but anyways, we have the Jedi compass. Luke Skywalker discovered an ancient Jedi star compass and the Emperor's. Oh, I already read that. Did I finish that?
No, I stopped you at Pilio.
Pilio. It functions in a manner similar to the Wayfinder. The lodestone encased in a sphere of plasma is attuned to a specific point in hyperspace. Skywalker's study of it helped him uncover a path to Ahch-To, site of the first Jedi Temple. So that may be how he found it. We have the compass on top. It has an iridium clasp, astro Meridian etched lines, graduated Belize, plasma encased super aluminate lead, some kind of shit.
Super encased super illuminite lodestone.
Yeah,
I
what
like
he
I
said.
like big words. They don't work too well with my accent, but I like big words.
And then we have a page from the Ramahang abstracted view of hyperspatial waypoints to Exegol, amended insert connecting to Ahch-To, Star Chart Extra Explorations, Exegol Symbology, contemporary illustrations imagining how paired wayfinders might appear, and bosonic diagrams. And I guess we can do this next page. We'll squeeze in this next page, and then we will call it after that, because then we get into a bunch of people.
Alrighty. Oh, this is gonna be fun. You want to split this? You do the top, I do the bottom.
Sure.
Okay.
The darkness, this is Exegol here, people. The darkness at the heart of the Galactic Empire was unknown to most galactic citizens, though the extreme militarization and authoritarian rule seemed to stem from a desire for security. They were actually fueled by a dark agenda over 1,000 years old. The Sith, an ancient offshoot of the Jedi Order that had in times past ruled the galaxy, were once more ascendant. Sith Lords occupy positions of power until the Empire's defeat at the Battle of Endor. Secreted in the depths, I wanted to say secreted, and I was like, that's not right. Secreted in the depths of the unknown regions, however, was the planet Exegol, a Sith redoubt. Their loyalists, longing for the return of the Sith, kept the flames of their sinister worship burning as they waited, building a force on Exegol that would not emerge for a generation. And we see the it looks kind of like a more band. Um, can't
Very
really tell.
neat.
Yeah, that's what it is. Next to it, we see the Sith Citadel. 1,000 years before the fall of the Galactic Republic and the rise of the Empire, the galaxy had been ruled by the Sith. Exegol is one of the oldest Sith bastions, home to a massive citadel filled with ancient crumbling sanctuary. And now you can see down at the bottom of that page,
Mhm.
um, looks like a little lightsaber. That's Kylo Ren, or um, I believe. And so
That's him. That's
you see
him.
how big those statues are.
They're
I mean,
huge,
they're
enormous.
they're 50 stories tall, probably. I mean, I'm just guessing, doing a really quick spatial um thing. I mean, so they're pretty tall. Um,
Oh, and then to the bottom, we have Sith worlds. The greatest Sith fortress was once the cursed world of Moraban, now known to antiquity as Korriban. So now they're both canon, folks. Long since abandoned, its location is known enough students of history to render it as an unsuitable as a base for the revived order. Exegol, by way of contrast, is shielded in the impenetrable veil of the unknown regions, providing Sith loyalists with a safe haven far from prying eyes. Other noteworthy Sith worlds that were quarantined in the same time of the Republic include Malachor, Zoist, Jaguda, and Relig. Some worlds have even, wait, let me start that over there. Some worlds have had their Sith affiliations scrubbed so thoroughly from history that their Denzians walk across avenues that were once ancient battlegrounds or sacred temple sites, none the wiser about their dark history. Old Sith runes. The Sith eternal incarnation carved in the old tongues denotes the nature of the dyad, a parent in the Force. Curiously, it is nearly identical to the text describing the rule of two, a Sith doctrine that there could only be two living Sith lords. But inflection marks and line breaks change specific meaning in certain words. And they do have a translation of a Sith rune that I said I like big words, but that don't even look like big words to me. That would be me like trying to look at and read Polish. Can't do that.
well, you know Arabic. Now you need to learn Sith.
Yeah, I've been brushing up on my Arabic just a bit more the other day. And
So we have
that concludes page 54.
and we'll finish up here 55. Then 55 we get into some people. That will be starting the next session, which is session 7. It will be.
Yeah.
We have a fun data file. Unknown regions, unincorporated space.
Yep.
The diameter is 13,649 kilometers, or 8,481 miles. It's barren rock and desert flats. It has no moons. Population is unknown. There's no native life there, and total Sith and First Order forces have not been tabulated.
So there could be billions.
There could be. There's a picture of the Citadel that we see on the side, and it's showing us on the planet where the Citadel is. The base of the Sith Eternal Cult is an ancient, forbidden citadel. It holds many sinister secrets. And we see the Hask Desert, Han Zolo Plateau, and Sado Escarpment. Find the Wayfinder, get to Exegol, and bring an end to this conflict once and for all. Ray, quoting Luke Skywalker's writings. And the fun file we have here, the dry conditions of Exegol and rubbing of dust particles in its atmosphere create enormous static charges. Yeah. Okay, you keep telling us that. Maybe next week. Okay. I don't know what's going on. Um, a thick cloud of red gas and dust form navigational barriers to the planet. It is littered with the preserved remnants of ancient space faring megafauna, megafauna, okay, and enormous fissures reach deep into the planet's crust. They were excavated by Sith loyalists in centuries past in a bid to reach a transportative vergence they believe to be hidden in the rock. So,
That previous two sentences you read, it is littered with the preserved remains of ancient spacefaring megafauna. We was told that only a couple pages back. Is that where Purgil go to die?
I don't
Ancient
know.
ancient spacefaring megafauna. That was right here, one page back in the Wayfinders, the very first paragraph, where the construction of Wayfinders was inspired by the study of the brains and carcasses of Purgil, spaceborne megafauna that can travel through hyperspace naturally. And here the surface is littered with the preserved remains of ancient spacefaring megafauna. Whoa!
So maybe that's where they go to die.
That's
That
what
could
I'm
be
taking it as.
that could be right. Let's pose that. Maybe we'll pose that question. I put up um the poll
Mhm.
for um from last night,
I saw.
and
I voted.
I know you voted. I know who you voted for. I'm not telling though. I
Nope.
can't. It won't let me vote though.
Oh, well, that's different.
Um,
Maybe
we have
because
12.
it's easier
So
to
as of right now, it's 5:41 on 3/24, which I believe it's Tuesday.
Mhm.
Um, Unkar Pratt has 16.7. Honey Nabubu has 41.7. Jar Jar Abrams has 25. And Snow Speeder Gonzalez has 16.7. So if you are listening to this or at any point in time watching this, go to my page and it is pinned on there to the top and vote and share it so we can get some more votes in on that.
How many more days is that up for?
5 more days.
Okay, so we got some time.
We got some time to share that with friends. And yeah.
Matter of fact, right after we're done here, I'm going to go take another little dance through the Twitterverse, and maybe I'll go and copy that and put it up in a fresh new tweet to remind folks and friends to get in there and click one of them buttons. See how this turns out next week.
And obviously, Subdued is back. And he didn't have a good appointment. So, well, you know what can make your appointment even better, or make it you go back and watch the last hour of this, and yeah, that's kind of, I don't know, whatever. You do what you want to do. Watch it, don't watch it. Join in next time. You know, it doesn't just have to be me and RFB. Other people can get in on this,
Oh,
and
no.
you can. If you don't have the book, you got it right in front of your face on the computer screen. And you might not be able to read it depending on what kind of screen you have or how small it is, if you can make it bigger or not, but you can at least talk with us about it. We can read and you can commentate. So that goes for everybody that's watching and listening right now. But I think that is going to do it for today. I'm going to try in the next couple of days to either get some more of this going on with RFB and everybody else, or to get some Fallen Order going on.
No,
I got
Miss Christina says I don't have the book. Well, sweetie, that's why we're doing it. The book's right there on the screen for you, so that you
yeah.
can be included. And also, before we part ways for a spell, an hour and 15 minutes comes the last live stream with them Rebel Scum Boys on their channel, 7 o'clock. Come jump in the live chat. Tag some friends before you do. Let's
Yep.
bust that place open.
Number 27 of the live streams of the day for Rebel Scum. I think they're doing. What are they doing? 1 an hour?
It seems like. No, what they're doing is for all of us and wants to include as many of us as I can. So yeah, they want to do this for friends. Let's bring some friends. I've been trying to get No One Is Chris from the Star Wars Friends show in there, and who all ever else. Jonathan Stubbs from Beyond the Outer Rim and Ross. Yeah, I want to get them boys in there and see. They got a good little group of friends. Get in here with a bigger group of friends, and let's really all. Now's the time to go hanging out. When government don't want folks together, we can still get together this here way and bring a lot of us into it. Rebel Scum's putting up the platform for us. Let's do it.
There. Oh no, Dale. They're doing breakfast, lunch, snack, and dinner.
Yeah. All Eastern U.S. times are 9 in the morning, at noon, and 3 p.m., and then 7 p.m. every day of the week. Well, except I'm not sure the weekends. James has got an idea for Saturday morning breakfast. He wants to go and do like a watch through of the 1985 Droids cartoon, which is a lot of fun. I don't know when he wants to start that, but that I think that's looking to be coming soon. So that'll be 6 days a week for the foreseeable future that all this stuff is going on. He's putting up a platform for everybody to come in and get involved.
Yep, and I got my Mondays, and then whenever else I can fit anything else in, because I'm not on lockdown, and my schedule changes. Well, week to week, and sometimes during the week. So my schedule changed on Sunday for this week. So we'll see what next week has for me, and then if depending on what is happening, I might need to go pick up some shifts and work someplace else to make my hours and get my money going that way too. So we shall see. But I want to thank everyone for stopping by. I want to thank everybody. That some people had to use a couple accounts just to come in here and hang out. So thank you for that.
Until the next live stream, which we hope to see you in, may the force be with you.
Yeah, I'm going to try and I have tomorrow night and Thursday night free. So figure out either try after I won't get home from work till 5. So, try and figure something in before Rural Scum or something after Rural Scum. Rural Scum, Rebel Scum. I was gonna say whatever I can work out with Rural Farm Boy. So I can get in an hour or two with him, because this next one's gonna be some pages but I think they might go quickly because it's a lot of pictures and characters. So we should be able to fit it in an hour and a half, like the normal time frame that we've been running. But all right, everybody, thank you very much for stopping by, and share it, spread it with a friend. Go right now to that share button and hit share. I want to see a bunch of it coming up on my Twitterverse. With that, that's a good day. May the force be with you.